Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We're just about to get going. As Claire mentions, you're all very welcome. So I am putting in the chat box for everybody a Slido link. This is a word cloud that you can add one word that reminds you of the global partnership. We're hoping to build a picture of everybody's different ideas together, and then later in the session, we'll be switching over to some open-ended questions about people's experiences of the partnership, what they'd like to see in the future, moments that were seminal for them. If you'd like to express gratitude to anybody, you can do so as well. In order to kind of keep the conversation in one place, let's try and keep the chat in Zoom to sort of technical or logistical matters. We're going to hear from Claire, who'll launch the report this morning. And then we'll hear from Baroness Sugg, the UK Minister from the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office. And then we'll have a wide-ranging discussion. We're really lucky to have a huge number of attendees today, so we ask everybody to keep their comments concise to 2 to 3 minutes. Then Jenna will moderate the first part of that discussion. We'll have a quick comfort break for people to top up their coffee, and then Davis will take us through to the end of the session. So we'll have about 1 hour of discussion, both verbal and via the Slido. And with that, I hand over to Claire. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and thank you all for being here. It's just really, really fantastic to have so many partners. We have well over 100 people already on the call, and more joining as I look at the count. My name's Claire Malamid. I'm the CEO of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data. On our 5th birthday, I'm speaking to you today from London, where, as you know, we were starting to go back to work, but recently the COVID restrictions have been tightened again. So I'm speaking to you from the attic of my house. I'm sure many of you are in your homes today as well, and you know, experiencing in very different ways that the current strange circumstances that we certainly never thought that we would be in as we launched 5 years ago. I think we never imagined that 2020 would feel quite like this. What I think has surprised us all, or perhaps not surprised us, but what's really brought home to me, at least, in the current situation, is that the way in which COVID has demonstrated so clearly and absolutely the importance of data. Ever since we launched 5 years ago, we have tried to make the case for data as an absolutely essential part of the infrastructure of good policy making, and data as something that has to be high on public policy agendas. But of course, COVID has brought that home to everybody. Data is, you know, we're all factivists, as we're saying today. We're all poring over the latest figures for our communities, for our countries, for the world, and trying to understand what that data is telling us and what the consequences of that should be. But of course, over the last 5 years, data has also become an increasingly important economic asset. And governments around the world are all struggling to keep up with the technology, the opportunities, and also the risks that technology has brought us, as data is an increasingly important economic asset, a political asset, and we're all increasingly aware of the benefits, but also the risks that the new world of data and technology is delivering to us. This really adds up to a huge cultural and political change for all of us. Data is everybody's business now. And I think the work of the partnership is even more urgent than it was 5 years ago when we launched. It's the 5th anniversary, both of the SDGs and it's the 5th anniversary of the SDGs. It's the 5th anniversary of the Global Partnership. And of course, it's the 75th anniversary of the UN itself. Data is absolutely key to the achievement of the SDGs and to the whole mission of the UN. And we're trying to sum up the role that we think data and information need to and can play in the world in a report that we're releasing today that summarizes some of our main achievements, the things that we hope you also are most proud of over the last 5 years, and some of the things that we've learned. The very first thing that we've learned, which should be no surprise to anybody, is that progress depends absolutely on people. This map that you see now, which is in the report and also online in an interactive in an interactive form where you can explore some of the contents yourselves, shows the diversity of our partnerships, that you've taught us a huge amount. All of the partners together, you are the partnership, and all of the progress that we've made has depended on you and your involvement, your engagement, your efforts. We're hugely grateful to you. You've taught us a lot. You've taught us how to be a good partnership. You've taught us patience, and you've also taught us that we still have a lot to learn. I'd especially like to name check here Kisley Benedict from Johnson & Johnson, who has put many hours into helping us construct these maps. They look very simple, but like so many things, there's a lot more under the bonnet than you may think. So a lot of people have laboured long and hard over these maps, and we thank you all. We want to know, first of all, in this town hall, what the partnership means to you. So Jenny mentioned that we are hoping to, that we want to capture some of your thoughts on Slido. So please just now add please, if we can have a look at the Slido, and yep, one word that encapsulates this community for you. You can see the words changing as they go, but the centerpiece there is collaboration, and that, I think, absolutely encompasses everything that we're trying to do here. I'm glad to see that fun is there too. Cutting red tape, dynamic, advocate, some great words there, and I think we should that's exactly what we hoped for. There are some people on the line who were present who have really shaped the partnership, created the partnership, and were present at that moment 5 years ago when we joined, and I think that is exactly what we were hoping for. But of course, we're in this today not only to have fun, although we're happy that we do, but also to make change together and to improve lives. So I just wanted to very quickly, there's a lot more detail in the report, of course, and we hope that you will have the opportunity later to take a look, but just to look at some of the things that we've achieved together over the last 5 years. We're now making an impact from a small start. We're now making an impact in 27 countries around the world. And again, the maps that are online can show you some of the places and some of the where we work and some of the things that we are all that we're doing together. I just want to zoom in on perhaps just a couple of stories. We're working in 27 countries, from Colombia to Cote d'Ivoire, from Paraguay to the Philippines, Nepal to Nigeria. But let me take you now just to one story in Senegal. Senegal is one of the countries that was one of the pioneer countries for the Africa Regional Data Cube. And we asked, of course, as we were working on this report, we asked a wide variety of our partners for some quotes about collaborations and how they had worked with us and what they'd been able to achieve. I want to just read this one quote, if you'll bear with me, from El Hadj Mamadou Dieng Nyom, who is in the Division of Analysis, Forecasting and Agriculture Statistics at the Ministry of Agriculture in Senegal. And he says, and I think this will probably ring true to many of you who are listening, this is not unique to Senegal. He says farmers in Senegal were struggling because of the loss of arable land due to various climate-related shocks. With the Africa Regional Data Cube allowing us to use and analyse Earth observation data with the farmer's land and context in mind, we were able to identify areas at risk and optimise crop losses based on yield estimates. And the Senegalese authorities now have reliable statistics that can provide a warning of food insecurity in certain areas where rainfall conditions are deficient. There are many people on the line I saw earlier who've been absolutely instrumental in the development of the Africa Regional Data Cube, and I hope you all take great pride in that story and so many stories like it. But one of the things that the Africa Regional Data Cube and now the current evolution to the regional Digital Earth Africa, which is going to provide access to Earth observations data across the whole region, has taught us, has taught me in particular with my impatience to get things done, is the absolutely central importance of taking time. That everything to do with data, as so many other things in life, take longer than you would like, but it's absolutely worth putting in that investment, allowing things to take time, and absolutely waiting until the moment is right and the investment starts to bear fruit. Of course, it's not just time. If it were just a question of sitting back and waiting, then life would be it would be very much easier to see results. We work with very highly committed people all over the world, but you know, one place where we has had a sort of consistent support and unbelievable commitment is in Sierra Leone, where Yema Thompson, who is the Director General of the Sierra Leone News Agency, and Education Minister David Senge have been, you know, unbelievably with such tenacity and courage, pushing boulders up hills really for years to get more inclusive data. And David told us, and you can read the full quote in the report, that the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data and the Inclusive Data Charter were pivotal to generating and sustaining the political will needed to advance more inclusive education data. In 2018, these partners supported a series of consultations to improve alignment and coordination across the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and our collaborators, especially around topics such as disability. And he says that by hearing directly from civil society and marginalised groups through these meetings, the ministry developed a clearer prioritisation of the most pressing data gaps and identified specific ways to address them. And it's so important here that the way that data not just tells us about people's lives, but it allows people to express their own lives in data and in a way that can have influence and impact. So as a result, what we're seeing today is that Sierra Leone has included new questions on disabilities in national surveys and school censuses. And using this data in a very practical way, they've been able to work across government to overturn a ban on pregnant girls in school, and have also designed policies and campaigns to get zero learning poverty, zero makeshift schools, and zero irregularities and exam malpractice. So this is absolutely essential, the way that data and focus on inclusive data, which we've been so proud to champion, has really kind of improved people's lives in very tangible ways around the world. And I think in Sierra Leone and so many other places, they've taught us again and again that it's politics which drives technical change. You know, that we often think of data as a sort of technical, as a complicated technical endeavor, which of course it is, but actually to use data to get change, so much of the hard work is actually political. There's lots more examples that feature all of you on the call in the report of the way in which the partnership and all of your work has helped in using data to get very tangible changes in people's lives. But of course, we know that working on single challenges isn't enough. And what we've also focused on from the very earliest days is systems. That seeing the new world of data emerge all around us and the changes that have happened even the last 5 years, we know that as well as looking at the individual uses of data, we have to make sure that the data system nationally, globally, is itself true to the values of the Sustainable Development Goals, and it drives equality. And, you know, many of you on the call have been involved in different work on this over the years. I particularly want to mention the amazing work on interoperability that's the product of a joint working group from the Global Partnership and the UN Statistics Division that's now progressed to a maturity model, really taken ideas, joint learning, consensus building through some joint publications into a very concrete maturity model that's still only just a few weeks after its use is already being used in Mexico. The UK government and others are looking at that maturity model as a really important tool that will help them to drive interoperability. Of course, systems, the world of data and data systems has changed quite dramatically since the GPSDD was established. And we think that now it's probably time to take stock of what we've learned, to examine our assumptions, and to redefine that roadmap. So in the coming months, we're going to look to you, to our partners, and especially under the leadership of our technical advisory group. And we want to work with you to understand where the challenges are of today, how much progress has been made, and to produce a landmark assessment of where we are, what's changed, and where we need to go to make data work for sustainable development. So I really hope that all of you and many others will help us and be part of that, and that we can create the landscape of what a good data system looks like together. And because we know that as well as time, as well as politics, as well as people, another thing that we need at the heart of our work and at the heart of the data system that we want is values. And we need a data system which is driven by values, that reduces inequality, that protects the vulnerable. And of course, we ourselves as the global partnership have known from the very beginning that to be part of that solution, we need to be an organization that is ourselves built on values. Our team, our board, our technical advisory group, all of our partners have absolutely been at the heart of our work from the beginning. I love these shots. These shots from what feels like a distant time now, when we didn't have to worry about social distancing. Some of you on the call, I'm sure, will recognise yourselves in those shots. But this lesson that we learned at the very beginning, that we had to build a team which was underpinned by values. We had to think about how we relate to partners and how we relate to each other. And now, of course, looking to the future, what are the values that we share and how can we use those to build the world we want? So I think another big lesson for me in the last 5 years is that we have to build the values of the Sustainable Development Goals into every part of the operation. I just want you to look now at this quote from our board chair, Anne-Brigitte Albrechtsen, who I think is speaking here so powerfully about the importance of community and the different communities, the secretariat, the governance groups, and of course you, the partners that make up the global partnership and that work together in that spirit. And I'm very excited to say today that the newest member of our board will be Cabinet Secretary Rachel Lamamo, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kenya. And she will be joining Anne-Brigitte Albrechtsen from Plan International, the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Vice President Baumi of Ghana, and so many others on our board, and we're grateful to all of you. Of course, we're in this to make a change, all of us. We've heard already about some of the ways in which we're working together on different projects, different programs in different places around the world to make a change. There's something you can do today, be a factivist. It's well as being the 5th anniversary of the partnership, it's the 5th anniversary of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we are calling on everybody today to use data right now to call for an end to some of the biggest injustices we face. It's very appropriate that we should be celebrating the 5th anniversary of the partnership on the first Global Day of Factivism. Data for advocacy and advocacy for data. So we want us all to raise our voices together. We have a social media toolkit that we'll share, and we ask you to take forward some of the energy and inspiration of this event online. But first, that is quite enough from me, and it's now time to hear from you. So to kick us off, I'm very happy to have with us one of our most consistent champions over the years. And let me introduce Baroness Sugg, CBE, who is the Minister for Overseas of the UK, who is the Minister for Overseas Territories and Sustainable Development in the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office here in the UK. Lady Sugg, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I'm really delighted to join you all in celebrating 5 years of the Global Partnership. The UK is a really proud founding member, so happy birthday, everyone. That was a really great presentation, Claire, and I think a brilliant reminder of why the partnership is so important. And as you said, we're coming together at the start of the decade of action in a slightly different place than we thought we might be. And we only have 10 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We know they were off track before COVID-19, and the pandemic has made things worse. So the world needs the SDGs more than ever, and data, we know, will of course be central to accomplishing them. 3 years ago now, I think, I had the pleasure of speaking at an event organised by GPSDD on the importance of disaggregated data. And that led to the Inclusive Data Charter, one of your flagship programmes. And I think the partnership has such a unique and a crucial role in bringing together such a wide range of partners to really harness the opportunities that the data revolution brings to help us all achieve the SDGs. And the Inclusive Data Charter helps countries and organisations to address the commitment to leave no one behind and really help to develop a concrete action plan. And both the independent UK Office for National Statistics and the UK Department for International Development signed up to the Charter, but we now have a new department in the UK, the new Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and I'm really pleased to announce today that this new UK FCDO will also sign up to the Charter, and we'll be developing our own action plan. And COVID-19 means it's more important than ever that we have this access to timely and accurate and inclusive data at the local level. Here in the UK, we recently launched our first national data strategy, which is going to help ensure that people and businesses and organisations really trust the data that we produce and that they can access the data that they need and that they have the skills to use the data. And GPSDD's work on this agenda has been really helpful to us. It demonstrates how inclusive data can be used to address the issues of bias, and you produced a practical guide to help development practitioners make data interoperable. And our ambition plans to help develop data analytical skills at all levels have really been informed by GPSDD's Data for Now initiative. And so you've driven great progress, but sadly there is a long way to go. And as you said, COVID-19 has inevitably made all this harder. We've seen many African countries have to put their plans for conducting a census on hold for obvious safety reasons. So that means they're not going to have the most up-to-date local level population estimates that are so crucial for local planning and decision making. But we've also seen the success of GPSDD's COVID-19 dashboards, which are helping Ghana and other countries really bring together a range of real-time data in one place and really help policymakers to address all the complex challenges of COVID-19. So data, I really think, must be a central part of our Building Back Better strategy as the world recovers from COVID-19. So there's plenty more work to be done on this agenda. I really look forward to the discussion today. But, you know, as we saw in Claire's presentation, there's been some incredible achievements over the last 5 years. So I hope, as well as discussing everything that we need to do, that we take the time today to celebrate all that has been accomplished and really to reflect upon the central role that GPSDD, all of you listening today, data and collaboration, the really central role that you all have in helping to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals and genuinely leave no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lady Sugg. Really inspiring way to start the conversation and great news about the Inclusive Data Charter. Thank you. Just to remind everybody, the Slido, we're still looking for words, and also it's now your opportunity to speak. I want to hand over now to, we want to hear now from you. You are the partnership, and we want to hear about your best experiences, your worst experiences, what you'd like us to do more of, less of. You can raise your hands to speak, or you can ask questions on the Slido. And to guide us through this first part of the conversation, I want to introduce you to Jenna Slowton, our Senior Director for Policy. Over to you, Jenna.
Thank you, Claire. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate this birthday. What a pleasure it is to see the GPSDD at 5 years. Really, we're just so excited to hear from you today. So a few things just to flag. Did want to note that we are recording the session, and that's also for the benefit of those who couldn't join us today, but were very interested. We have a new Slido poll up on the screen that will be open for the rest of the event, and we welcome your input there just to ensure, because time is limited as always, and we won't get to hear from everyone, but we do want to hear from you on the Slido. So a few questions that are up there are, which are the values that we should embody as a community to get through 2025? Can you share a collective milestone or breakthrough that you think was key for our community? And lastly, what would you like to see change in order for us to achieve our collective vision? So we're going to go to some colleagues who are already ready to share, but if others would like to share a quick comment or thought in response to these questions verbally, please raise your hand and our colleagues in the background will try to queue you up. And we were just if Poncelet Ileleji is on the line, if he could please raise his hand as well. So without further ado, we're first going to go over to Nena Nwakanma, who from the World Wide Web Foundation, who's been with GPSDD from the very beginning. Over to you, Nena.
Hello, everyone. Happy birthday to GPSDD. I think I just have 2-3 minutes to share a few things. The collective value I would like to share with us is to move from data, the intellectualization, the numbers, to data for life. I had previously written data for empowerment, but I would say data for life, meaning that the whole aspect, the whole range of life in humanity, from birth to death, statistics, yes, but also data that shows social injustice, racial injustice, divides, digital divides, gender divides, economic divides. I think that these are the kind of values we want to see. Data that addresses life, data that addresses humanity, data that supports us as we develop as a global community. That is external, but then within the GPSDD, I think one value I would like to put on the table is that of demystifying data at the national and local levels. I have had opportunities to communicate with statisticians about communication itself. And one of the shocks I've had is when a chief statistician looked at me and said, statistics is not for everyday people. It's for people of a higher, whatever. I don't know what, that kind of a thing. So it's not for the man on the street. I want to say that that is not correct. We should make data an issue of the person on the street. We should make that person know that I also am part of data, I use it, I can be empowered. So demystifying data, making it everyday word. I mean, the way we all sang to songs from Russia, from Korea, from South Africa, we don't need to know all the wordings, but we know that this is a good beat and everyone will do Open Gangnam Style, you know, that kind of a thing. So we need to bring the data of life and the data for everyone in a way that they can understand. In milestones, I think that hello to everyone who's locked down. Hello to you all who can't travel. Hello to you all who've been wearing masks. That's the new normal. And I think that COVID has done us a lot of good. There are two things I want to note about COVID and the whole thing we're living in. There were systems and organizations that were in place before COVID that were able to react and live and move on. One of those was the internet. One of those was the GPSDD. At the World Wide Web Foundation, we have been given reason. We have been told we are right because we've been saying we need to connect people. We need to give people global connectivity. We need to give people meaningful connectivity. We need data. We need open data. We need people to access data. So here we are. COVID has shown us that we didn't need to be scrambling for certain things at this time. Another thing that COVID has shown us, I mean, for everyone here has been monitoring the dashboards. You recall at the beginning was that all people in Africa are going to die in their millions. They will be picking up dead bodies on the street pretty soon. It has not happened. And for myself, I had about 3-4 dashboards monitoring COVID every day. And I think that the data of COVID has actually been the lifesaver for many people of COVID. We may not have realized to what extent those dashboards that say these are the number of cases, these are the number of deaths, these are the number of critical people, that has been one of the biggest hammers into it. I think that was a milestone. And the more we go into that ubiquitous democratization of data of everyone. So I'll monitor the data of the whole world and also monitor the data of Africa and my own country. In fact, in Cote d'Ivoire, where I live, we went down to the districts and the municipalities. And it was clearer that these ones have greater danger, and you didn't need to talk to people a lot. At the beginning, some Africans were saying, oh, we don't know who has died. But then the data came in and everyone was able to save themselves, at least who could. Now I want to end with memory. So I'm going to show you what I'm wearing now. I had to dig up this dress because I wore it exactly on the 28th of September 2015 when we launched the GPSDD on the margin of UNGA 70. I was wearing this same dress. Now I have a bit of gray hair, but that's okay. So I'm happy that the World Wide Web Foundation gave me the opportunity to work with this great organization. In January 2015, I had gone to meet African statisticians to speak to them about the need for a global partnership. I spoke with passion. I talked about the need for collaboration. I said we did not need to be the UN and member states alone. I talked about multi-stakeholderism, and people who did not want to hear me. I clearly recall that a gentleman pushed me to the wall, physically attacking me, calling me a sellout because he felt I was African and this was a white man's side there. But those days have come and gone. And 5 years down the line, this gentleman has come around and has become one of the greatest flag flyers of the GPSDD. I am personally glad on my own account because we've come this far. I want to congratulate the team. And I want to say congratulations to all the original founders. I have been a bit active on Twitter today, sharing my memories. Happy birthday, and see you on the data side of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nena. What an incredible tribute, and thank you so much for those memories and those reflections. We'll go now swiftly over to Andrea Ordonez from the Southern Voice Network of Global South think tanks, who's also been a very supportive partner. Over to you, Andrea.
Hello, good morning, everybody from Quito, Ecuador, where I'm connecting, and happy birthday to everybody for the 5 years of the global partnership and the 5 years of the SDGs as well. I would like to take a moment to reflect on the values and what we would like to see the partnership embody. And I think that the two that stood out for me that I also see are being collected in the poll in Slido are the first one in relation to diversity and making sure that the global partnership reflects the wide range of actors that are in the ecosystem and that work with data for achieving the SDGs, for responding to crisis that now we know is quite critical. And I am very glad to see that the partnership and the team at the Secretariat has grown in such a way to also reflect this diversity. So I think we can always keep working on this, but I also want to congratulate the team at the Secretariat for taking this approach on their own work and on their own convening of key people for the team as well. And the second one that I think that we should not lose sight of, and that has become even more critical in these times, is to promote the ethical use of data. And I think that the crisis that we're in and the new opportunities also raise the possibility of new challenges, as we see, for example, children having to be with screens and technology so much more. There's a lot more questions that are being raised than what we probably expected 5 years ago, and that we should have conversations about and decide appropriate approaches for our work. And I think this is something both that we should do internally in the partnership, but also that we should reflect outwards into others that are working with data. I think this will be critical in the upcoming months and years, and an essential ingredient to make sure that the partnership keeps its momentum and its value moving forward, and that we all keep working with the mission and with the objective of reaching and supporting those that need support the most to achieve the SDGs. And I think that's something that Claire also mentioned, and I think we should all move in that way and keep that mission in mind. And just my final thank you would be for someone that is not longer in the partnership, but that was strategic in the very beginning, to Sanjeev Kagram. He was very early on convening the partnership and had very clear that the mission of the partnership was about the community, and the fact that he's not here and that he was able to facilitate those first dialogues and then let the partnership keep moving ahead and growing is precisely the types of collaborations and individuals that we should seek to collaborate with. So that's from my side, and again, happy birthday to everybody.
Thank you, Andrea, for those really great words, and this theme of inclusion is really coming out strongly, and indeed a special thank you to Sanjeev Kagram. So now over to Pedro de Alarcon from Telefonica, who is also a member of our technical advisory group. Over to you, Pedro. I saw Pedro on the line before.
Can you hear me now?
Well, we'll move. Yes. Hello, Pedro. Please.
Sorry, I was pressing the wrong button. So congratulations and for a happy birthday on your 5th birthday. So very, very happy to be here, to be part of this exciting initiative along all these years. So I think we are so proud of belonging to a partnership that is really generating momentum, is really helping the private sector to create advocacy around sharing data, which is something very challenging internally, especially within the telco sector, where we, as you may know, mobile big data contains a lot of personal data and risks. So we have to be especially careful to make safe use of the data. So I really thank you for the invitation and for sharing the session with me. So some of the values I would try to position for the next years is, of course, ethical use of data is, I think, at the center of the discussion. We need to make sure that not the data itself, but the use of the data, the algorithms and tools that we design to create indicators, to create predictions, are fair, are transparent, and are not used with wrong applications. We are in a time where we see everyday fake news around important things like climate change, and we need to ensure that any data that we raise and that we put and we offer to the community has a good use. So I think this is also an effort that we are doing as a company, as a sector, and I would like to spread this message, because we always take for granted that data, especially when we combine data sets from different sources, are used for the greater good. But sadly, we are finding cases where this is not happening. So this is important for us. Also, I think the sense of generating data and sharing data is driving action. So, but still we see that in the general population, data literacy is a must. So we think that we have to support more initiatives around data literacy in the general population, more familiarity with concepts, basic concepts like indicators associated to the SDGs beyond the 17 numbers. So I think this is also, we are with the series of seminars organized by the GPSDD, we see that data literacy is really at the center of the action of the community. So I'm very happy to see that. And I would say also for me, it was a real milestone when I first met Claire. I think it was in the UN World Data Forum at Dubai, the first time we met in person. I was very impressed with her vision, her inspiring vision of how data could be shared for the community. But during that meeting, my regret was to see very few representatives from the Latin America region. So I think for me it was a great milestone to see how Spanish and the Latin American countries were more and more involved in the GPSDD partnership, which is great. So many use cases, so many seminars, and also some documents in Spanish. I think for us, that for Telefonica, that we are especially present in Latin America, UK, Germany, and Spain, that was very, very important. So I thank you for that. That was a milestone, and not many international or global organizations like yours are doing that effort. And also, I remember when Claire mentioned about the real-time data initiative. And a few weeks ago, I checked the SDGs Today initiative, which is impressive. And for me, it was great to see how an inspiring idea with a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties to implement it, is now a reality. So for me, that is absolutely a demonstration of how an idea turns into a tangible asset that the community can use. And for answering the third question, what I would like to see, and this is self-criticizing, is to see more involvement and commitment from the private sector to make sustainable efforts to donate data. With the COVID-19 crisis, we see many companies donating mobility data and reports using their data to see how the crisis is impacting the population and the country economy. But we would like to see this in a sustainable way. So more frequent updates, real-time feeds, APIs, and many forms to support sustainable use of data. So thank you, Jen, and everybody. I'm very happy to be here for many years in the future, 4 or 5, whatever. I'll be here for you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pedro. We're going to move very swiftly over to Ahmad Bahalim from the Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And just a reminder to everyone to just take a couple of minutes to ensure we can get as many people in as possible. Over to you, Ahmad. Ahmad, I think you're muted.
There you go. Okay, hopefully it's working now. Hopefully I'm unmuted. Good morning. Hi. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Hello from the very early morning in Seattle, where it's still dark outside. I'll go through the kind of the 3 things that we've been asked to respond to relatively quickly. on values. So most of us on the call today already share a lot of key values. We're probably all factivists. We're also in the midst of a global pandemic and an economic shock that might set back development. In this moment, we perhaps need to compellingly communicate the utility of evidence-based decision-making. Combating a public health crisis will require data. Recovering from the economic shock will require more recent and more detailed statistics, more data. From leaders to citizens, we all benefit when more information can be used to make decisions. That's a core value that I think we all agree on. But the more effectively and clearly we share this value, the better. We need a cultural shift to get secured and sustained investment in data systems, and GPSDD and its partners have a valuable role in communicating and sharing that with the world. On a milestone for the community, I got to know GPSDD through an event that we organized together, the launch of the 50 by 2030 initiative at UNGA about 2 years ago. I believe this was a community milestone. It was certainly a milestone for me and my specific community, agricultural statistics. The initiative is a multi-stakeholder partnership that's going to scale up agricultural surveys and other forms of data in 50 countries by 2030. It's intended to help generate the data needed to track progress on agriculture and the related SDGs. The key institutions from the FAO, the World Bank, IFAD, are part of it, and they're all supported by bilateral donors and led by country demand. They've all come together to address a technical and financial gap that's needed for countries looking to scale up these surveys. If it's successful, we'll address really basic information needs in agricultural development. We'll go from a starting position of guessing or estimating more precisely what's happening in a country's agricultural sector based on data that is many cases decades old. 30 to 40 years ago is the frequency of many agricultural censuses in sub-Saharan Africa, for example. We'll go from that to a world of hopefully timely and reliable data. This will give decision makers the information they need to make better decisions, but it should also hopefully empower citizens to hold those responsible to account. Now, a specific memory. So that particular event had a lot of firsts. It was probably the largest commitment from donors to agricultural statistics ever. It was also the first time that the Moth was able to organize a storytelling event at the UN. But what stands out to me is the ingenuity of our GPSDD partners. The event was long, it was late in the evening. You might remember before when we used to go to events that people would sometimes get hungry at these things. You know, if it's late before dinner, you want something to nibble on. Unfortunately, the UN building folks didn't allow catering in the part of the complex that we were in at that time. So Jenny had the brilliant idea to hand out cookies as swag. So if you came, you'd have a snack. So 2 years later, I still have that cookie wrapped sitting at my desk. It's probably not edible anymore, but I smile and think of Jenny's ingenuity, GPSDD's ingenuity, whenever I look at it. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad, especially for the cookie memory. So now moving quickly over to a dear colleague, Consulate Ileleji from Joko Labs Banjul, who's been particularly active in our group on citizen-generated data. Over to you, Consulate.
Yeah, thank you very much, and a happy birthday. And I'm really very happy and proud to be here. It's really been exciting being part of, being a partner for the Data4SDGs, considering the great work that they do. I think personally, I'm looking into the next 5 years to a situation whereby there's more development on the partnership, especially linkages with the Open Data Charter community, which are doing a lot of great work to create that synergy. For me, in terms of milestones, I will say the Data for Development Festival in Bristol was very great in the sense that the session on open data portals, challenges, and best practices really brought a lot of thoughts, whereby we had a lot of practitioners there in the field, you know, to whether it was the Web Foundation and stuff that give various insights on how data was being, open data was being used. And I think overall, that Bristol event really gave me a very good sense of direction of why as an organization we joined the Data4SDGs, and in looking at it from our own context, you know, so it was really very good to meet statisticians, meet government people, meet people in civil society or running innovative hubs to learn what they do, and above all, seeing what the great work Claire and the team, Jenna, everybody is doing in trying to build this network whereby data drives it. And it's from there that we got very involved in the citizen generation data section, which has really made what we do in Gambia very great in terms of being part of the Open Street Maps community. So that is a partnership that came out of our involvement there, and we have been doing, young people have been doing a lot of great mapping of community health centers, of water points, because our water tables have been very low in the Gambia. Now people can be able to use our maps to be able to locate the nearest health center in the nearest village from them. And all this has been based on what we have done with being involved with the Open Maps community, humanitarian maps community. If not for the citizen generation generating data community in the Data4SDGs, we couldn't have been able to meet such partners. So I will say I'm really excited for the next 5 years. I hope for us to build more, for us to talk more to each other, for us to learn more and to share best practices, and for more folks working within open data in developing countries to bring out their stories. I think our stories are not really shared enough well through blogs and linking up with academia. So I would like a situation whereby the overall Data4SDG community is able to do a lot with folks in academia, because I think folks in academia sometimes are detached from the great work practitioners on the field to do. So those are the little pointers I'd like to say. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Consulate. Really wonderful to hear from you. So we had a hand up just before we close this segment and move to the next from Luis Gonzalez from the UN Statistics Division. A reminder to everyone to just take a few minutes so that we have time for all. Please, over to you, Luis.
Thank you, Jenna. And I just want to be very brief. And it's been a very long journey since 2015. When the world came together for around the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And you will remember at that time, the United Nations Statistical Commission took note of the report and the recommendations by the Independent and Expert Advisory Group on a data revolution for sustainable development, and welcomed the invitation by the Secretary General to establish comprehensive program of work under the auspices of this report, and the Commission embracing the challenge of working closely together with partners from civil society, business, academia, to leverage the power of new data sources, methods, technologies to achieve the SDGs. We at the UN Statistics Division are extremely happy to see already the fruits of this collaboration with a much broader range of incredible partners into this new data ecosystem. Following, of course, the mandate from member states, and we are very happy to jointly work on data innovation projects that clearly contribute to the sustainability and to strengthen national statistical systems. So it's not been an easy journey, and working with new partners requires openness to new ideas, solving common misunderstandings, and finding common ground. In this regard, the collaboration with GPSDD in many areas, building capacity for data innovation, has been truly exceptional. And I would like to especially highlight the successful work that we've done together through the initiative, an initiative that was born in the first UN World Data Forum in Cape Town back in 2017, the collaborative on data interoperability. We are very proud of what we've all achieved together and look forward to many more successes in the future. And I just want to conclude by stressing that what will make this collaboration successful in the years ahead is putting country needs front and center, ensuring that they lead the implementation of our projects and activities. And I thank you and congratulate you again.
Thank you ever so much, Luis. And it has indeed been an incredibly fruitful collaboration, and we're looking forward to what comes in the next 5 years. Thank you to everyone. I'm going to hand over now to my dear colleague, Davis Atieno, to take us through and to hear from more of you. Thank you. It's very overwhelming and such an honor to celebrate this birthday with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenna, Claire, and all our speakers. I hope you can hear me clearly. Usually I'm based in Nairobi, but I'm on the western side of Kenya. So I had to drive from the village to access better connectivity and be able to speak to all of you amazing partners. We are really grateful, great to see so many names from way back joining us for this particular session and the town hall. I think for me, having been part of the earlier team and of course coming on board GPSDD, this is truly a sentimental moment. There's lots to share, but it's not my turn to speak. So I'm going to, over the next couple of minutes, hand over to Juan Daniel Oviedo, who's the director of DANE in Colombia. And of course, as hands come up, etc., I'll take the opportunity to also ask other people to speak, but keep it very brief so we can hear from as many of you as we possibly can. Over to you, Juan Daniel Oviedo. I hope you're on the line. And I'll maybe just ask you to reflect over the last few years. If you could share one thing that you are proud of as a member of the Global Partnership and how you think it actually made a difference, that would be really great. Thank you. Do we have Juan online? If not, I'm going to invite one of our longest supporters and funders. You know, Sarah Lucas is on the line. Many of you know her from the early days of the GPSDD. She was an early champion and supporter. Sarah, maybe to cross over to you as we get Daniel Oviedo to speak. Maybe you can start by sharing one of your favorite memories since you started engaging with the Global Partnership from the early days in 2015.
Hi, Davis. It's wonderful to see you sitting in your car. What dedication you have to this partnership. The question of what am I proud of, I just really feel proud to have been present at the creation of all of this and to see a spark of momentum and energy among people who had a vision for the partnership and to be able to put some resources behind that is really one of the things I'm most proud of. You know, this partnership is really about data, but my favorite memories are about people. And the power of building something with other people. Claire said at the beginning that progress really depends on people, and boy, has that been true in this case. I think back of coming together as people in New York, Addis, Bogota, Cape Town, Bristol, Dubai, and I've just had this reeling kind of film roll in my mind of each of those tables and rooms and dance floors. And thinking about how the composition of those tables and rooms has shifted over time. And in the beginning, there was really a lot of enthusiasm and excitement and initial kind of joining from people who are like me and like all of you, advocates around data, or also organizations or firms that provide data and wanted to be helpful in the SDGs. But if you look over time, those tables really began to include more and more people who represent the countries who wanted to use that data. And I think that has been such an enormous success of the partnership, is really centering all of the activities around what would be most helpful to country partners, and to give those country partners tables to sit together and learn and share. And I'm thinking I would love to have kind of like a time-lapse photograph of how those tables have shifted, and to capture the learning and the joy and the camaraderie. And frankly, I think it is that connection, that personal connection and camaraderie among the people at those tables that has allowed the partnership to weather challenges. You know, it hasn't always been easy, but because there has been a spirit of camaraderie and friendship and laughter and shared commitment and values, we've made it through. You've made it through to some real successes. And so in terms of what I want to see for the partnership in the future, is really being relentless in ensuring that all of the initiatives and collaboratives and things that get brokered have results for people, and that people in our partner countries are using data for decision making. We're not just making it available. We're not just bringing new and cool data sets into official statistics. They are getting used to improve decision making, to achieve the SDGs, and to improve lives for people. So the word cloud shows collaboration at the center, which is absolutely the spirit of GPSDD, and it is the means to an end. So in 5 years, I hope that word cloud has impact, front and center impact on people's lives. And so I want to take a moment to thank someone who really exemplifies the power of people in bringing to life the vision and potential of GPSDD. Many of you know and love Omar Seydu from the Ghana Statistical Service. Omar, I think, just absolutely embodies the energy and the tenacity and the creativity and the smarts that are truly necessary to take the vision of the GPSDD and translate it into something tangible for his country. Omar's ability to navigate the political landscape, to build bridges within government, to troubleshoot problems, to build relationships with non-governmental organizations, funders, technologists, and to keep the spirit of data use alive, even when there are bumps in the road and things get tough. Omar, you have been an inspiration to me, and I think you beautifully exemplify the power of people in the GPSDD. Thanks, everyone, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and that tribute to Omar is quite interesting, because I had him on the list of people who would have probably said something during this particular segment. And of course, you know, those moments also revealed we do have some incredible dancers within the partnership. So, you know, great memories of partners engaging and meeting from all over the world, and, you know, sharing dancing moves. Juan, over to you. Juan Daniel Oviedo, you know, it's your turn to share, reflect on one of the things you're proud of as a member of the GPSDD, and of course, if there are favorite memories, you can also feel free to share those. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Davis, and to everybody that has joined this important celebration time, let's say. And I wanted also to send a warm hello to Claire and to all the people that works at the GPSDD. We believe that in Colombia, in our case, the fact of our National Statistics Office to be a member of the Global Partnership has been an opportunity to put into practice this challenge and this important challenge that we have in a statistical production in order to be relevant and at the same time to be smart in order to take advantage of alternative sources of information and several issues that are at the core of our main challenge of becoming data stewards or performing stewardship of information in our societies. And I'm very proud of the Global Partnership because it has become a learning community. It's not only to share our experiences, but also to build together and to make teams in order to face those important challenges that at the stake, in my perspective, are associated with the fact of performing interdisciplinary dialogues that are necessary in order for information and official statistics to be relevant, for example, as regards as the 2030 agenda. And for example, one specific case that I wanted to share is our role in the Inclusive Data Charter. Since 2015, the National Statistics Office has been working with the Inclusive Data Charter. And when you see the current pandemic, you see that those 5 years that we invested in the discussions of the implementation of the mainstreaming of gender statistical production in our country has become an asset for the National Statistics Office in order to be relevant in the current pandemic, under which we are seeing that women are facing double vulnerabilities due to the fact of the unpaid work that are performing at home during the lockdowns, and at the same time, how this overcharge of the unpaid work at home is impairing women to easily participate in the labor market and to face gender salary gaps and to face vulnerabilities because, for example, in our country, two-thirds of women which are in the labor market are concentrated in wholesale and retail, health, education, and domestic paid work, which is something that goes together with the main activities that were paralyzed during the lockdown. So we believe that the Inclusive Data Charter has been a great experience in order, first, to prepare to be relevant, but also to perform interdisciplinary dialogues as those that I remember very well in the framework of the Statistical Commission in March, just before these lockdowns measures and all the situations we are facing, that we had the opportunity with Claire and several people to be at the Ford Foundation and to work about this topic and to work why it was very important to perform those interdisciplinary dialogues in order to allow statistical production, censuses, household surveys, and administrative records to talk in a sound way about what's happening about gender equality in our societies. That was one of the main facts that I'm very proud of. And when we saw that the main pages of the economic newspapers in Colombia were saying what's happening with gender equality as regards of the labor market vulnerabilities women are facing in the current pandemic, we remembered very well the discussions with Claire and some partners at the Ford Foundation in March, and we were very proud to be prepared at this framework to be able to be relevant in the current situation of Colombia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan, for those very detailed comments, and of course, highlighting how the Inclusive Data Charter is really helping Dane, to champion various issues there. And of course, we are very grateful for the support and your generosity. We've had algorithms shared from Colombia, to our Africa regional data cube that are being used for other purposes across the region. So that demonstrates your thought leadership and of course, generosity. Tuli, I'm going to call on you maybe to share, this year we met as a result of COVID, and it would be nice to hear from you as a member of GPSDD now, one thing you're proud of, and of course, what you think actually made a difference. And if there's a favorite memory, please feel free to share that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. And good afternoon, good morning, everyone. And happy birthday to everyone. We're very excited to be part of this community. And we joined this committee recently through the Data Initiative collaboration that global partnership ended with the UN Economic Commission for Africa, that's UNECA. And this was particularly to support countries' response to COVID-19. As a result of this, NSA joining this initiative, we launched a COVID-19 Information Hub in partnership with ESRI and Grid3, which is providing disaggregated statistics and information to the government and supporting informed decision-making. I think certainly in this time that we have been part of this community, I would say one of the fond memory is the recent agreement that NSA entered into with the local mobile operator and Flowminder. It's the first time NSA is looking into producing statistics or using the anonymized mobile data to produce population mobility statistics. And this information is to support the government to have more timely and informative information toward fighting against COVID. So I would say that's a fond memory, although it's just recently. And that is really for the future. We're looking forward to more collaborations and engagement with the national statistic offices, in particularly using administrative data, as we mentioned earlier, with mobile operator, and engaging with national statistic offices to strengthen data analytics skills and capability, making use of alternative data sources and new data sources, as we have seen with the case of the COVID, and also to fill data gaps for SDG reporting. We're also looking forward to these kind of talks, looking more into data ethics, data governance, and recently data sharing agreements with private stakeholders. As I said earlier, it's our first time the Statistic Office looking into using mobile data. So this has been quite an experience, and we're looking forward to learning more in this project. And before I go, I would really like to thank the team. And I would like to thank in particular Victor Orogu Victor has been quite consistent and instrumental in supporting NSA by understanding the country's data needs and the local structure and relationship of NSA with other stakeholders, was able to not only link us to global partners or technical partners, but was also able to assist us in planning and strategizing on the best ways to deliver data to the public, and dealing with project management issues, and as I said earlier, the data sharing issues. So I really like to thank Victor for that. I think he had gone beyond his day-to-day work to make sure that we are keeping in time with our activities. Yes, so with that, I thank you so much, and happy birthday again to everyone.
Thank you so much, Tuli, and that amazing shout out to Victor Orogu, who is our Senior Africa Regional Manager, and of course does a lot of the back channel engagements, and of course lots of support to you and many others across the region. We are grateful to our entire team for the amazing support they've been providing to all of you. If Hapinda Kolakot, Executive Director at Development Initiatives, is online, I would like to give you this chance maybe to say something if you're online.
Thank you, David.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Lovely to see you as well.
First of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our GPSDD colleagues, members, and partners. I have to say, it's an incredible event, this. It's so energizing on my Friday afternoon to be part of such a positive global conversation, and it's great to see so many people from all the corners of the globe joining us from their living rooms, their bedrooms, their studies, and obviously their car as well. And for me, this is what makes the partnership so great. This is what the partnership embodies. It's a passion for data that is spread all around the globe. And it is incredible. It's incredible to see that passion so live and vibrant. And it's also what's contributed to keeping that journey that we've been on over the last 5 years so interesting, but also so focused on really driving results. And it's been incredible to see what has been achieved over the last 5 years. So when I was asked to think about what I was most proud of, it was quite difficult because so much has been done in that time. And for me personally, as an organisation, we've been championing data to leave no one behind as a key priority of ours. And so I do think we're particularly proud of the Inclusive Data Charter. I know it's been mentioned a few times already today. And we were delighted to be an earlier champion and a partner on the Charter, working on it from its inception. It's great to see how it's gone from strength to strength. And the Charter in particular is very important because it puts the need to count everyone at the heart of the international data agenda. And it provides a key tool for partners to demonstrate their commitment and set a clear way of how to get towards better production, quality and use of data on people to ensure that no one is left behind. And I was thinking about some of our favourite memories, and it seems like dance floors seem to be a favourite theme amongst the various different memories. But for me, it really was the Data Festival. It really embodied it. I think it brought the GPSDD to life in a way that I hadn't really seen it previously. It was a great festival. And actually, it was held here in my own home city of Bristol. So that in particular was very special to myself and my colleagues as well, who all work on data in Bristol. And it was a great week because it sort of brought so much vibrancy to the city, but it was also amazing to connect with all of the GPSDD partners in person from all over the world and to really go deep on some of the issues and learn about the work they're doing, the challenges they face in their communities, and look at where we are all connected on some of these issues and how we can all support each other to make those changes possible. But for me at that point, it was also a real privilege to be able to participate on the Leave No One Behind plenary as well, which I found incredibly interesting as part of the larger plethora of things that were discussed at the festival. Now, Davis, you also asked us to think about some of the things that are important that we need to change in the future to achieve our collective vision. And I did have a few things I wanted to flag, if I could, in my couple of minutes. And I've got three things that I wanted to highlight. Firstly, we're all in this space from various different countries at the moment because of this global pandemic that we're facing. And actually the pandemic has been really interesting from the perspective of data because it's really brought to the forefront the importance of timely data that's really needed to inform policy decisions. Now, in the age of COVID-19, we know that we need data that is close to real time as possible so that we understand what is going on and we can be very clearly targeted in the approaches that we take to manage the pandemic and ensure communities aren't overly hurt as a result of measures taken. And it's without this sort of data, we can't make those sorts of decisions. And the reliance that we've had previously on historical data isn't good enough to make real-time decisions. And so for the first time, we are seeing that some real-time data is being used to try to track and understand how finance in particular is being allocated to respond to the pandemic, and actually being used to help decision makers make important decisions as well. And DI has been using IATI data in particular, so that's the aid transparency data, that is really helping us understand what's happening now, as opposed to what was happening 2 years ago. But secondly, I just want to bring a focus on official and non-official sources of data as well. And I think that's going to be critical for the future, that we really work on how we bring these together, build trust and create partnerships between NSOs and CSOs on data production and use, so that this remains critical as we move forward. And then finally,
Tina,
I think
I've just come off mute, so you can summarize. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. And finally, I was just going to say that we need to invest in some of the basics as well around data, and that means building some of the strong foundational data systems. For example, health, education management systems, CRVS. We know these are important, and we know they're essential to actually build a strong national data ecosystem. Thank you so much, Davis.
Thank you. Thank you so much, pin of time, which means that a few of my speakers are going to suffer a little bit. Diego, you've been on standby for a while. I'll probably just give you 2 minutes for quick reflections, and then I can move on to one or two other people and then wrap it up. So if you could be very brief, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, Davis. No problem. I will try to be brief. Good morning, dear colleagues. I am Diego Andrade, Executive Director of Ecuador's Statistical Office, INEC. I would like first to congratulate GPSDD on their 5th anniversary, supporting the international data community. Just to be brief, as a part of the Alliance, has allowed Ecuador and mainly its National Institute of Statistics and Census to take action, strengthening national statistical production based on the exchange of knowledge, experiences, and spaces coordinated by the organization. We have worked extensively to identify, test, and implement innovative alternatives and mechanisms for data collection. The Institute has exchanged good practices with the statistical offices worldwide, which demonstrate the importance of the transfer and use of administrative records, as well as the establishment of regulations that guide this process. I would like also to share really briefly my favorite memory. Weeks before the 51st meeting of the United Nations Statistical Commission, I had the pleasure of meeting in New York with Freddy Rodriguez and Alonso Ortiz to exchange points of view related to the production of disaggregated and geo-reference information necessary for the monitoring of the Agenda 2030. I think that is one of the main goals that also all the statistical offices and partners we should focus on. How can we achieve our collective vision? I think the organization should enhance and continue the data literacy strategy as part of its primary objectives. It is essential that governments as public policy makers and society as a whole recognize the importance of official statistics from the proper handling and interpretation of data. In addition, the efforts of this group could focus on the development and implementation of strategies and mechanisms to implement new methods of data production, making use of technological revolution and highlighting the need of the support and assistance of the various collaborators in their scope of actions. Finally, I just want to thank the Center for International Strategic Thinking, CEPEI, and mainly for its collaborators, Freddy Rodriguez and Margarita Vaca. I think based on CEPEI support, INEC has been able to implement important actions around our strengthening and managing adequately the data. That's for me, Davis. Back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for running through all those great points so quickly. Now I'm going to hand over to Brian Kilo, my man, and I hope you know at least you are the backbone of the Africa Regional Data Cube, Brian. You know, if you could share 1 or 2 memories and of course, what you think would be useful moving forward, that would be really great. Thank you.
Will do. Thanks, Davis. Happy to be here. Happy birthday to GPSDD. Thanks for inviting me. So African Regional Data Cube is obviously the passion that I have and something that I've been involved with GPSDD from the beginning. That prototype, in my mind, was quite amazing. And what we did in Africa with 5 countries and what has eventually led to a $30 million project really went beyond my expectations. So it's really exciting to see all that come together. You know, 2 events come to mind when we did that were really exciting for me. One was the Kickoff in Nairobi, when we all came together and there was such a crowd of people and so many things, so many people involved and so much excitement, and also the hands-on training we had in Ghana. Those were great experiences. I was amazed to see the interest and the excitement of the local users and their desire to learn. So, you know, as we head forward, the thing I'd like to see more of is one-on-one user interactions. I think we're coming up on a time where the data that is in front of us is prolific. There is a lot of data. And the challenge for the users is going to be knowing what to use, and then, of course, how to use it. And that challenge is something that GPSTD and the rest of us here can help solve, and it's exciting for the future. So I just want to thank Claire, especially for her trust in NASA and having me along this journey. It's been exciting, and I've been proud to be part of this team. And a special thanks to Davis and to Jenny and to Ken for their passion and flexibility in all of this. It's been a pleasure to work with this team, and I look forward to more GPSTD birthday parties. Thank you.
Yeah, we sure hope that the skies will open so we can meet in person and have a real party. So thank you so much, Brian, for those comments. Alcags, I know you've been on standby for a while, but I also know you can actually give quite a speech. You know, because we're running out of time, I'll just give you a minute or two, you know, to make your comments, and then hopefully I can hand over to Claire. I was going to help close this particular session.
Thank you very much, Davis. Like you, I am having to join you from the car because I was en route from one place to another and listening in. But I just want to say happy birthday to GPSTD, and you know, it's a big milestone to have been here for 5 years. But as I think about that, I think that that this is a sobering moment. And in this 1.5 hours that Davis has given me to speak, I just want to say that I remember that a lot of the work that we have done with citizen-generated data started off at a GPSTD event. A lot of the conversations that we had and the structuring of how citizen-generated data could sort of be used to achieve change within communities started, and we've had a lot of success in that time with the partnership of a lot of the people that I have met through GPSTD, and that for me is kudos to GPSTD. The second thing I want to say is that as we go into the decade of action, there's a couple of SDGs that I have realized may not be receiving as much attention from many of us factivists as we could. In recent days, we have been focused on figuring out how citizens who work in the manufacturing sector, particularly casual workers, can use data to express their plight in Kenya. And if you check out decentwork.africa, you will see some of that data that is coming out from those citizens. And one of the things that we're beginning to realize is that we were looking for organizations that have been working around decent work to sort of pay attention to the sweatshops that currently exist here in Nairobi, so that we can hand over this data to them and they can run with it and hopefully make changes for those citizens. It's work in progress, but I just want to say that as we go into the decade of action, could we start to pay attention to some of the other SDGs so that we are not only focused on 1 to 6 or 7 thereabouts, so because those ones have a lot of attention, but we also start paying attention to some of the others that may not be very mainstream, but are really, really important. I'm looking forward to attending many more birthday parties with all of you and to see you in person. I think this period of UNGA has been extremely difficult for us because of the fact that we are so stimulated by having physical engagements, and we have not been able to have any. So I miss you guys, and it's great to see all of you.
Thank you so much, Alcags. Unfortunately, you know, we are running out of time, and as usual, with exciting events like this, that's a natural tendency for something like that to happen. So I'll hand over to Claire, and of course, she's going to make a few announcements, including the Slido being open, so you can keep engaging us and sending your comments and other memories through that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Davis. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, everybody. what a wonderful, moving and inspiring event that was. We were just saying, yes, this is the best kind of birthday party, except for the kind of birthday party that involves dancing. So yeah, that was really wonderful. Thank you so much to all of you who've contributed in person and on Slido. I know that there were many who wanted to speak who didn't get time. The Slido will be staying open for the rest of the day. We really want to capture all of your thoughts and your advice, and we will be poring over it and actually using it to inform our thinking about the next 5 years. So it's useful to us as well as lovely to hear. So please do go to the Slido if you feel that you have more to say. But huge thanks to all of you, to the team who were behind this event and the report. Please don't forget to have a look at the report if you want to have another lovely moment and remind yourself of all of the things that we've achieved together. Explore the maps and the data visualizations, the data about the data partnership, which seems highly appropriate. Of course, that there will be a small survey. We want to collect some data from you also about this event. So please do that. And of course, today is the day to flex your data skills and your factivist skills in particular, and turn data into action online in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. Just once again, my enormous thanks. You'll be hearing from us over the next few weeks and months with some of the follow-up, some of the things that we've heard, the ways in which we're going to take this conversation forward. But in the meantime, just once again, absolutely from the bottom of my heart, and I think on behalf of the whole team, thank you all for being such wonderful partners, colleagues, friends, and we are looking forward to the next 5 years and what we're going to do together. Thank you.